Good morning. Thank you for being here in this early moment of the day. Morning is always the purest time of the mind when the world is still quiet and nothing has rushed in to pull you away. This is the moment when we can pause, breathe slowly, and allow ourselves to step into the new day with calmness. Before doing anything, I want to invite you to take a small moment to touch the space within yourself, the place where you do not need to try, do not need to hold yourself together, and do not need to prove anything. You only need to be present here in this gentle morning. Breathe in softly and breathe out lightly. Feel the morning air opening for you like a blank page, where today you are allowed to write a new story with a clearer mind than yesterday. There are mornings when we wake up with a slight heaviness, a vague feeling rising from somewhere inside as if something unnamed is stirring in the mind. Sometimes it is an unfinished matter, a conversation you have not resolved, or a small worry resting quietly in the heart. There are also moments when life seems to pour many things onto you at the same time: an unexpected message, a sudden task at work, a concern arriving without warning. All of them combine into a sense of being met by a rising tide about to spill into your day. Yet right at the moment you feel yourself being swept along, morning gives you a chance to pause. It reminds you that you do not begin your day from chaos, but from the quiet point within. Deep inside every person, a small light exists, like a humble candle that never goes out. That light is present even when you are tired, even when you are unsure whether you have enough strength to continue. Now allow yourself to touch that light. With just one slow breath, you are close enough to hear the warm voice within telling you that today you do not need to push yourself to be strong. You only need to begin with peace. And from that peace, real strength will appear. Morning is a gift life gives you each day to renew your mind. And today you are choosing to enter the new day with clarity, gentleness, and respect for yourself. Thank you for being here. Let us move on to the next part. When we step into a new day, there are moments when the mind feels like a room that has just opened its window to let the wind flow in. Some breezes are gentle and refreshing, while others carry unfinished matters without clear names. A message you have not replied to, an unexpected appointment, a small detail at work that suddenly makes you uneasy. Everything can come quickly, as if life is testing your ability to stay balanced. You might have experienced that feeling when in just one moment, everything seems to arrive at once: a thought you have not settled, a responsibility that presses on you, a sudden task that shifts the plan you thought was prepared. All of these join into a fast-flowing stream in the mind. The interesting thing is that this stream is not always caused by something big. Sometimes it is just one sentence that makes you think too much. Sometimes it is one phone call that changes your whole day. And sometimes it is a small fear you cannot even explain, a feeling rising at the most unexpected moment. But no matter where it comes from, that stream of thoughts shares one thing in common. It makes you feel like you are being carried away instead of walking with intention. It quickens your breath. It pulls you into restless thinking instead of allowing you to see things clearly. And most of all, it makes you forget that you are fully capable of pausing and viewing everything from a higher place. You may notice that when the mind is tense, everything becomes much bigger than it truly is. A small situation can feel like a mountain. A minor change can make your whole day feel off track. This is how the mind behaves when pushed into a defensive state. Yet what is beautiful is that the mind can also do the opposite. It can become the place where you stand firmly in the middle of the stream, where pressure no longer carries you away, but simply passes by. What creates the difference is not the water, but the place where you stand. If you stand in a low place, the current always feels stronger. But if you stand higher, you can observe everything with clarity and calm. So when life pours many things onto you at once, it does not mean you have failed or lack ability. It is simply a sign that you need a new footing, a deeper breath, a moment to remember that you can choose a different way to respond. The stream of life is not here to drown you. It is here to remind you that it may be time to step onto a steadier ground within yourself. Now I want to ask you something. In recent times, what has been the stream that makes your mind rush the fastest? Thank you for sharing your presence here. When the stream of life rushes in, the first thing that makes us lose balance is not how strong it is, but the fact that we have not yet found something to hold on to. People are not afraid of challenges as much as they are afraid of not seeing a place to steady themselves. This is why many only need one timely sentence, one compassionate look, or one deep breath to regain their calm. It is not that the problem becomes smaller, but that a new inner anchor has just been formed. Each person carries an inner standard and invisible marker that helps us stand firm when life becomes chaotic. This anchor is not something distant or extraordinary. It is simply the state of knowing where you are, how you feel, and that you have the right to choose how you respond. It is the moment you step onto a higher ledge instead of being carried away by the current. Imagine in the middle of a rushing flow, there is a stone pillar standing strong. The water still moves, still roars, still presses with its force. But the pillar is not swept away. Instead, it becomes the place where people can hold on, where they regain their breath and strength. Inside you is a pillar like that. It is not something you build in a moment of panic, but something you nurture little by little each day as you listen to yourself slow down and create space for clarity. An inner anchor does not push the water away, it simply helps you stand above it. When you stand from a higher place, you are no longer carried by what is happening. You see the essence of the problem rather than the exaggerated thoughts of the mind. You see clearly what you can change and what you need to release. And most importantly, you realize you are not becoming weaker. You are simply needing a different view. We often mistake strength for the ability to never waver. But true strength comes from the ability to restore balance each time wavering occurs. This is the inner standard you have the right to set for yourself every morning. A brief pause, a deep breath, a soft reminder that you deserve peace, a thought that today you can walk with a clearer mind. When you begin your day with this anchor, the things that used to unsettle you no longer feel as frightening. Familiar pressures no longer leave you overwhelmed. Unexpected changes no longer push you into a defensive state, because you have stepped into the place of the observer instead of the one being carried away. And the beautiful thing is that this anchor cannot be taken from you. It does not depend on whether on others or on circumstances. It depends only on what you choose to nurture within yourself each day. There was a time when Min, a 35-year-old man working in the creative field, went through a period where everything seemed to fall apart at once. Work kept piling up, projects changed at the last minute, and urgent decisions demanded his attention, leaving him without a single morning to breathe fully. Each day he woke up feeling as if a strong current was rushing through his mind, carrying thoughts he had no time to arrange. Sleepless nights slowly became a pattern he never wanted. He kept thinking he had to try harder, be stronger, control everything to prove he was still fine. But the more he tried, the more he felt himself being pushed backward instead of moving forward. What exhausted him most was not the workload, but the feeling that he had lost the inner anchor he once relied on. One morning, while rushing to prepare for a meeting he knew would be tense, Min suddenly stopped when he saw himself in the mirror. It was not the reflection of exhaustion that caught his attention, but a look searching for something. He realized he had not given himself a true moment to pause for a very long time. Not to rest, but to see himself clearly again. In that moment, Mint decided to try something small. He placed his hand on his chest, closed his eyes, and took a deep breath. Just one breath. Yet what he felt was the return of a part of himself he had not sensed in a long time. A gentle steadiness. A small space in his mind where rushing thoughts could finally settle. From that day on, Mind began creating a small habit for himself. Each morning, before replying to messages, before opening his laptop, before thinking about what needed to be done, he gave himself 1 minute to stand still. Just 1 minute. He did not try to push away the pressure. He simply chose to stand above it, in a place where the stream of life could no longer sweep him away. And something unexpected happened, not because his work became easier, not because life grew lighter, but because a new inner marker slowly formed within him, an inner standard he could return to at any time. With that anchor, Min began seeing more clearly what needed action, what was not worth worrying about, what could be adjusted, and what could be released. He started walking through each day with clarity instead of panic. He discovered that sometimes what we need is not a grand answer, but simply a higher place to stand so we can see everything better. Mind's story is not unfamiliar. It is the story of anyone who has ever felt carried away by life. The current is still there. The challenges still come. But the inner anchor you build for yourself can transform the entire experience of your day. Now I want to invite you to share something small. If you resonate with this story, leave a comment saying I am ready to change, or simply type the number 1, so I know you are truly present on this journey. Thank you. Morning always carries something very special within it. It is like a door that has just opened, giving you a chance to step into a completely new day without being tied to what happened yesterday. And in this moment, I want to tell you something important. If you feel overwhelmed, if you are entering the morning with a mind still tangled, it does not mean you are weak. It simply means you are human. And humans sometimes need to pause to find their breath again. We often think we must handle everything immediately. We must solve it all, stay strong at every moment, show that we are in control. But true strength does not come from holding everything inside. Real strength comes from knowing when to slow down, when to set down a part of the weight you carry, when to find a quiet corner, to arrange the feelings within you. And morning is the perfect time for that. In the gentle light of a new day, your mind is like a surface of water settling after a long night. This is when you can more easily see what is truly happening inside. This is when you can ask yourself a simple question. What can I do today to walk into this new day with a clearer and lighter mind? The answer does not need to be big. Sometimes it is simply allowing yourself to breathe a little deeper, or choosing not to open your phone right away, or deciding not to let a negative thought from yesterday follow you into today. You do not have to become someone perfect in the morning. You only need to choose one small thing. One action that brings back clarity. One thought that helps you feel safe enough to continue. When you stop relying on the old idea of being strong, you begin to discover a different kind of strength. A strength that comes from clarity, from awareness, from knowing that you have the right to choose how you begin your day. And when you give yourself that right, you rise to a higher place within, no longer carried away by the rush, no longer pulled by familiar worries. You begin to see that many problems are not as heavy as they seemed. Many pressures are not as large as your mind made them, and that you are more capable than you think. Today you can choose a different beginning, not from tension, not from hurry, but from the inner anchor you have been building through the previous parts. An anchor that helps you stand steady and see more clearly. This morning is yours, and you have the right to shape it in the way that nourishes your soul the most. Thank you for being here in part 5. Inside every person there is a quiet space, a place untouched by the noise of the world, the weight of thoughts, or the harsh winds of pressure. Some call it peace, others call it stillness, but in truth it is simply the place you return to when you want to see yourself with the most clarity. What is interesting is that this place does not exist in a specific location or through a fixed ritual. It is within you in each breath, in every moment you choose to pause instead of running after the spiral of worry. Each morning you can step into that peaceful space through one simple act. Place your hand on your chest. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Feel your breath entering and leaving the body. This is not a spiritual ritual. It is your way of reminding yourself that you have a place to return to, and anyone who has a place to return to is never truly swept away. Many times you think you have lost your peace because of what happens outside. But the truth is, the disturbance comes from forgetting the path back to yourself. You run after work responsibilities, the expectations of others, the things you believe are important, until one day you find yourself standing in the middle of a tangled web of thoughts without knowing where it began. Peace does not disappear. It is only covered by too many things left unarranged. And your task is not to find a miracle to clear everything away. You only need to return to your breath and your awareness. When you call back the peace within, you will see something clearly. No storm is large enough to reach that place. The stream may be strong, but it cannot wash away the foundation within you when you know where it is. There will be days when you cannot control everything, but you can always control how you return to yourself. You cannot decide what others say, but you can decide what is allowed to touch your mind. You cannot change every circumstance, but you can lift yourself to a higher place to see the truth more clearly. And that place is the refuge you have always been seeking. Think of the peaceful space inside you as a small room where you step in and close the noisy door of the world. In that room, you do not need to be strong. You only need to be honest with your feelings. You do not need to solve everything. You only need to let the mind settle. And from that stillness, the things you could not see clearly begin to become brighter. Today you can choose to enter that room at any moment, even in the middle of a busy day, even when facing a heavy pressure. Peace is not as far from you as you think. It is only waiting for you to remember that it is still there. Before we end this part, I want to ask you something to keep your presence in this journey. Recently, what has taken you furthest from your inner peace? Thank you for sharing your truth. Life always has its own way of testing us. Sometimes it comes through a difficult conversation, sometimes through an unexpected change at work, and sometimes through thoughts that make you doubt yourself. What matters is not how the challenge appears, but the posture you choose when facing it. Many people assume that when difficulties arise, they must be doing something wrong. But most of the time, a challenge is not a sign of failure. It is simply a reminder that you are stepping into a more mature season of your life. When your mind is unprepared, every impact can make you lose balance. But when you prepare the right mindset, even complex situations can become opportunities to learn how to stand firm from within. Remember that no one enters this life without facing challenges. No one grows from ease. And no one discovers their strength in times when everything feels smooth. Challenges are not meant to frighten you. They come to show you how strong you can be when your mind is placed in the right position. Each morning you can offer yourself a gentle reminder that today, no matter what happens, you will not let it sweep you away immediately. You will give yourself a pause, one deep breath, a small distance that allows you to observe instead of reacting out of habit. When you give your mind the chance to stand higher than the circumstance, you are granting yourself the right to be calm, the right to be clear, the right to choose a response that serves you instead of letting everything pull you into the spiral of tension. Another thing you must remember: you are not alone in this journey. Many people are quietly facing their own currents, and just like you, they are learning how to stand strong from within. The fact that you feel tired or worried does not mean you are weak. It simply means you are a human being with emotions, responsibilities, things you want to protect, and goals you want to grow toward. Emotions do not make you smaller. They only show you what you care about. Today, instead of fearing challenge, see it as a space to practice the inner strength you have been nurturing through the previous parts. You already have an anchor. You already know how to return to peace. You have learned how to observe yourself from a higher place. And these are the foundations that will allow you to walk through any day with steadiness. No one can guarantee that today will be perfect, but you can guarantee that you will enter this day with a calmer heart, a clearer mind, and a more ready spirit. Challenge is no longer something that threatens you. It is simply a small part of the journey you are on. And when you stay rooted in your inner place, you will always stand higher than anything happening outside. Thank you for being here in part 7. Morning is the time when the mind can listen to itself most easily. When everything is still gentle, when the noise of life has not yet touched you too strongly, it becomes the moment you can send a soft prayer into the new day. Not a prayer for miracles to appear or for life to change instantly, but a way for you to return to clarity and peace within. In this moment, whether you are sitting or standing still, I invite you to place your hand over your heart and let the following words touch you like the early breeze. Let them become reminders for your soul that you deserve to step into this day with a tender and steady inner strength. May my new day begin with clarity in my mind. May I see what truly matters and what I can release. May I know when to step back to keep my peace and when to step forward so I do not miss the opportunity. May I carry a gentle heart that helps me love myself more and be more compassionate with others. May I stay aware enough to recognize when emotions are clouding the truth and when my mind needs softening. May I stand in a higher place above all worries and tension so I can look at life with calm. If any challenge appears today, may I not react with fear, but with the understanding that I still have a place to return to. May I remember that peace does not come from outside, but from within me when I choose to approach things with clarity. May I not be swept away by the rushing pace of others, but keep my own rhythm. A slower rhythm, a more open mind, a more resilient heart. And if at any moment I feel weak, may I be gentle enough with myself to admit it. I do not need to be strong every hour. I only need to be honest with my feelings. May I have enough patience to move through things one by one without rushing, without forcing, simply receiving and resolving them with the ability I have. May my day flow with lightness. Whatever happens, may I keep the inner anchor I have built. May I always remember that each morning is a new chance to be clearer, calmer, and steadier. And finally, may I stay grateful for waking up, for being given one more day to learn to love and to grow. May I carry this peaceful energy through the whole day. I cherish this morning and offer a deep thank you to life for giving me the chance to begin again. This morning is mine. This journey is mine. And peace is always within reach whenever I choose to return to myself. The morning is opening before you, and the entire journey we have walked through in the previous parts has been guiding you toward this moment. The moment you realize that you do not need to step into a new day with rush or tension. You can enter it with the peace you have created for yourself, with the inner anchor you have been nurturing, and with the trust that you can stand in a higher place than anything happening around you. Each day carries its own challenges, but it also carries countless opportunities for you to feel yourself again. When you begin from stillness, you will notice that the things that once made you anxious become lighter. Situations that once shook you become opportunities to practice your steadiness. And thoughts that used to distract you no longer have the power to pull you away from your center. Morning is the foundation of the whole day. When that foundation is built with awareness and peace, everything that follows becomes clearer. You do not need to know everything that will happen. You only need to know that you are walking with a clearer mind and a more balanced heart. And that alone is enough for you to move through any current. I want to offer you a gentle blessing for today. May your morning be filled with clarity, your afternoon full of inspiration, and your evening peaceful enough for you to end the day with gratitude. May you meet the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments that bring you closer to the best version of yourself. May everything that comes your way be met with softness and wisdom. And at any moment today you feel a little lost, remember that you can always return to the anchor you built this morning. One slow breath, one quiet second, one soft reminder that you do not need to conquer everything. You only need to stand steady within yourself. Step by step, breath by breath, you will find your peace again. Before we close this morning, I want to invite you to do something small but meaningful. If you feel the energy of this journey, if you feel a gentle shift within you as you enter the new day, leave a comment to mark the moment you begin that journey. You may write, "I am ready to change," or simply type the number 1. It is not a promise to anyone else. It is a sign you give to yourself that today you choose to begin in a different way. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being present through every part. I wish you a day that is bright, light, and peaceful. You deserve that. And this morning is the proof that you have already begun in the right direction.